MovieWeb.com.
Well, that was the first thing that sort of like inspired me to make a film, you know, like growing up among this social scenario, you know, like growing up with Maid it's quite striking, you know, socially speaking. I remember in my adolescence that I grew up very rebellious against this institution, just because you don't want a third party authority at home.
Right.
You already have a mother and father, you don't want a third one. So the first thing was being rebellious about it, and after that you start see that this person is really a victim of these weird social circumstances that nobody really is. It's guilty for, you know. It's just like a third world country with these crazy social phenomena, like that maids are really popular, you know. So that was one thing, just like growing up in that scenario, and like wanted to show how uncomfortable that situation was. And then the relationship between Lucy and Raquel is something that it's a human story that actually kind of like took place at my household, not when I was living there, but afterwards. And I found that quite beautiful, worth making a film about. So those are the two elements that sort of like inspired me to go and make a film about it.
Okay, so the actual Lucy character took place as well, that whole scenario of bringing...
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fiction in the film, of course.
Right.
But there was the essentials of that human situation took place. I mean, there was someone that helped out Raquel to come out of her emotional shell by being really compassionate.
Right. So just to that end, I'm interested, what did you think was going on in the real life story with Raquel, that she was in the place where she was? Like, what was, because in the film you're not quite sure this character is going to snap, which way it's going to go. What exactly is going on with her?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question, and I think the lack of biographical information that the audience have about the Maid in the film, it's just a reflection of how I felt and what I saw and what I experienced living in my parents' house, and like the relationship that I had with a Maid. You know, it was lacking biographical data, definitely. Like, I knew her so well because I would see her 24/7. You know, you live with these people; they live at your house, but you don't know anything about their lives really, other than you know about their lives, but in this very weird aspect. It's like you see them every day. So if they're in a bad mood, you're gonna notice, but you wouldn't go and ask what's going on really. You know, just because. There's no time, I guess, or just you don't make the time, and that's the whole weird thing that made me make this film. You know, that it's like, why wouldn't you ask? It's just because they're employees. You know, they're not really part of your family.
Could you talk about the genesis of the script and how you tailored the roles of both Raquel and Pilar for those actresses?
Sure. The genesis of the script is my life as an adolescent, as a child, as an adolescent growing up with maids. I mean, that's the genesis, really, you know. So I took all those experiences, put them together, because there were several maids at my family house. So I took like little things from every single case, you know. And of course, I made up some other stuff, and then that human situation between Lucy and Raquel. So that was the genesis of the screenplay. We wrote a treatment together with Pedro Beirano, my co-writer, and then we started writing the screenplay. We had this kind of like fairy tale structure where the first one is Mercedes, the Peruvian maid, who tries to approach Raquel by being really submissive. Then the second one tries to get to Raquel being extremely confrontational, and then the third one, who's compassionate, is like the one that wins the prize, sort to say. So that's the genesis, and that's the structure that we worked on. And then Pilar and Catalina, I mean Pilar and Raquel, who's Claudia is Pilar, is the actress, and Catalina is Raquel. I met them. A long time ago in Chile. Both of them work in my first film. They were a funny kind of a couple, not a lesbian couple, but just a couple. Pilar was like a filmmaker, really bad filmmaker, hysterical woman, and then Raquel Catalina was her helper, and she was just like extremely vulgar and funny and just disgusting. So I worked with them in my first film, which is called Life Kills Me, and I had a great time. They're amazing actresses, really intelligent, and Catalina is exceptionally good as an actress. Really, really rare, very unique way of acting.
Was there anything that she did in the role of Raquel that really surprised you, that you didn't expect, that it was a direction that she took with the character that was perfect, but you hadn't even imagined it?
I mean, I'm always struck by Catalina's performance. I think she has a way of acting that is like, it's not acting, which is really, really strange. You don't see that because like some actors say they don't act, but you can still see a little bit of artificiality, you know, in their acting. But Catalina is just like, she becomes the character, and she can be that character forever if she wishes to, you know. She doesn't really need a screenplay. I mean, if the screenplay ends, she can keep going being that character forever. But to your question, I think I was extremely surprised and deeply touched by how amazing the change, how amazing she portrayed the change that Raquel has at the end of the film. You know, when she becomes this kind of like enthusiastic, happy, quirky acting woman, and it's like, it's so amazing the change that she portrays, that you almost believe that she's become like 10 years younger or something. She's like lost age, you know. It's like, it's so unbelievable. Like her eyes change, it's almost like her skin changes, you know. That for me is quite impressive, and I read that in an American review actually, that it was so amazing how her physicality changed after this psychological change that she goes through, you know. That's quite amazing.
You shot in your childhood home, the home that you grew up in.
Yeah,
so was there any sense of deja vu? Was there any sense of oddness?
It was a constant deja vu, and that was really great. It was I never felt weird out, or I never felt it was odd. I was actually like, we were doing like 12 scenes per day. We had just 16 days to shoot the whole film, so there was no time for emotional, like, sort of like moaning, you know, or reflection. We were rushing. We needed to make the film. So, but for the writing, knowing that I was gonna have my household, it was amazing. It made the writing extremely organic, and it made the shooting really organic, because imagine, I had the keys to the location, so I could go there with the DP and like do some sketching, you know, like do a storyboard, like stand where the camera was gonna be. Like, we went to every single room. We knew exactly where every character was gonna sleep and where they were gonna eat, you know, everything. And I know that house like the palm of my hand, so I used every corner. I really exploded the house, you know. I took all the juice out of it.
Great. And then finally, I just wanted to ask you, what do you hope that American audiences take away from the film and the idea of the class system that you talk about in the movie?
I think it's kind of like a tour. It's a strange, particular tour to the kind of like middle upper class Chilean society, which I think it's extremely interesting for a foreigner, because Chile, like, who's gone to Chile? It's like they would show you like a household in Iceland. Like, I'd be extremely intrigued. So that's one thing. I think they will have fun looking at the Chilean idiosyncrasy. And then on the other hand, I think I expect them to really identify with the emotional side of the film, which is the most important. I think the social aspects of the film, or where it takes place, you know, Santiago, it's just a mere anecdote, really. Like the color of their uniform and the language they speak. I mean, it's amusing. It's kind of exotic, but it's just an anecdote. Like, I think the core of the film, and it has been demonstrated, you know, and all the festivals that it's gone through, and the prizes that it won, that it's a very universal film, which is talking from emotions, like universal emotions, and I think people will feel identified by that, and they will hopefully go home reflecting about love, hopefully.